Welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday. Welcome. Sorry about that, folks. Derry Bennett, Quad Bennett, Heat, how's it going? Alio, Michael Hassler, welcome everybody. Let me just make sure we got everything going here. Life is a bit rough at the moment, but it's good to be here with y'all. Hang tight indeed. Just gave me time to make a bowl. Yeah. Well, I think given the circumstances, it is more than warranted. How's the weather? A little better. A little better. It's above freezing, so that's nice. It's above freezing. But supposedly we're gonna get another little ice blast, Arctic blast, before going into a warm period for a second there. Very strange. Next week we will finally be above freezing. That's good. That's good. I heard of Hanging Tough. Is there a song, Hanging Tight? I don't know. Ooh, excuse me. I don't know. Folks, really quickly, before we get started, don't forget, like the stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel, join the Discord on the last Saturday of the month. There will be a movie night, so not this Saturday, but the Saturday upcoming. There's going to be a movie, so if you want to participate, real simple, join the Discord. It's free. It's free. All right, folks, we got a few things to go through. So let's get started. Happy Friday, Junior. It's almost a weekend. With the 51-year anniversary of Roe v. Wade approaching, President Biden and Vice President Harris are expected to appear at the first joint event for the 2024 election season in Northern Virginia. Yeah, I mean, maybe that would fall more. That would have more weight to it if the Democratic Party put forth more efforts to codify it into legislation. The House passes the continuing resolution delaying the government shutdown until March. Yep, the political football has been punted for another couple months. Yep. All right, let's get started, folks.
In the future, the state of Israel have to control on the entire area from the river to the sea.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just said the quiet part out loud, and nobody should be surprised, as he has been banging this drum the entire time. So I'm going to get to a clip of a statement, but first, this is the top line from AP here. Netanyahu says he is told...
So wait a minute. How is that going to fall? How's that going to work out now for the people who are complaining about from the river to the sea? How's that going to fall now when Netanyahu is saying, actually, we're going to control from the river to the sea? Like, how's that going to land?
Told the U.S. he opposes a Palestinian state in any post-war scenario.
Like, right here, the fact that, yeah, it's okay if he says it, right? Netanyahu has said that he opposes, and by the way, this is not new. This is not new. He has bragged about the fact that he has been responsible in the past and in the current. He and his government have been responsible for stopping this idea of any type of, two-state solution, anything like that. He was proudly bragging that that he was responsible for derailing or stopping any talks about a two-state solution. So this is not like new, and yet Netanyahu tells us that he is doing this, tells us what he's intending to do, and just expects us to keep giving them weapons and keep giving them funding, and of course the Biden administration has no signs of them being much more forcefully stopping this immediately. Moving Trade Media, the Likud party has had the river to the sea language in their charter since the 1970s. I didn't know that. Excuse my ignorance, because I do have a huge gap in knowledge when it comes to this, but wow. And the Likud party, from what I remember, from my vague understanding, is that they're a pretty extremist party, right? That's is that not Netanyahu's party, or is that the coalition that he's allying with?
The Biden administration, and I'll get to some of their comments as well, have been defending the Israeli government while assuring journalists that, oh, don't worry, we are working closely with the Israeli government to both try and put an end to this war where Israel is doing all the bombing, so it's not really a war, to put an end to this so-called war, and discussing how there is going to be a Palestinian state. So, worrying about the day after the so-called war, of establishing a Palestinian state to ensure that they're on the same page.
That is Netanyahu's party, actual language from 1977. From 1977, between the sea and the Jordan, there will only be Israeli sovereignty. Got it. Yikes.
Yet here you have Netanyahu spitting in the face of the Biden administration, saying that, not even just like quietly telling them no, openly bragging that no, we are absolutely destroying Gaza. We are taking the whole thing over, and you can't do anything about it.
Right. And again, Netanyahu literally bragged. This was not that long ago, by the way. This was maybe a few months ago. Saying that, like, he bragged to a journalist in an interview that he was proud to be responsible for any derailment of any two-state solution. Yet we censor congressmen for vaguely referencing it on the other side. Yeah, 100%. The 2011 Likud platform, the Jordan River will be the permanent eastern border of the state of Israel. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this was like barely a month ago. By the way, this was barely a month ago. And granted, I just found like the first headline, but this isn't the only media outlet reporting it, because it literally happened as he was talking to a journalist. This is not new. So if Israel and or The Hague could make Bibi leave, I don't know. What we could do and what we do have control over is weapons and funding, which the Biden administration has decided that they are just going to let Bibi slap the Biden administration in the face over and over and over again. I don't know. We have no control over what Israel does, other than we are their biggest suppliers of weapons and funding. So if we cut that off, then they are going to listen. They have no choice. And we refuse to do anything about it. That's what I do know. That's what I do know.
Or not that you can't do anything about it, you won't do anything about it. Because the U.S. can do something about it. They can stop aid to Israel. They can stop sending weapons to Israel. They can put an end to all of this by cutting off ties with Israel. But they are not willing to do what is necessary to save human lives in Gaza. So this is, before I even get to Netanyahu's, the clip of him here, just to establish what's going on. So an update on the numbers, the death toll in the so-called conflict. Again, one side's doing everything. So this is over the last 15 years, 2008 to 2023. The orange, the large bar here of deaths are Palestinians. The purple is Israelis, and all of these deaths came on October 7th. As in terms of civilians, none have happened since, and it's all been a bombing campaign by the far right-wing Israeli government, killing the vast majority civilians in Gaza, while saying they're going after Hamas. Because, it's very normal to bomb entire cities to get criminals.
Right. They're not interested. They're not interested in that. Hamas provides a perfect veneer, a perfect shield for Netanyahu, who was, by the way, before all of this happened, was facing a lot of, corruption and controversy when he tried to finagle with the judicial system in an undemocratic fashion. All of this, and his political career was starting to look a little iffy, and then Hamas provided the perfect shield in his eyes to maintain power.
When there's a criminal, when there's a shoplifter, let's be a little more generous. When there is somebody at a school committing a crime, let's say a mass crime at a school, the cops go in there, or the military goes in there and bombs the entire school, because that's how you deal with criminals. You just kill all the civilians that they're around. In what other scenario does this make any sense?
It doesn't. And these people who are saying like, oh, well, it just has to happen. Like in no like logical and rational scenario would the answer to be like the answer to like solving like a hostage situation is to like shoot through the hostages, right? Nobody looks at like a hostage situation or a mass shooter situation and say, well, if the police kill half the complex, then I guess it's okay. Yeah, no. Nobody rationally is going to say that is okay. I don't see Palestinians as full people. It's disgusting. Yes.
Would this be defended by anybody? Yet Israel does it to Gaza, to Palestinians. Oh, it's the fault. It's the fault of those children being bombed.
Yeah, and this administration continues to make this idea like Israel is defending itself. Israel is not defending itself by any stretch of the imagination at this point. Sadly, governments and administrations are either stubborn, very slow, or does not listen. Am I mistaken? Well, the Biden administration is just not. I don't know what the reasoning is, and quite frankly, it doesn't matter. Quite frankly, the reason whether the Biden administration is being stubborn, being pro-Israel, or doesn't listen, I don't know. It doesn't really matter because the outcome is 24,000 dead. Does that make sense?
They shouldn't have been there. And to be clear, yes, half of them children. The life expectancy in Gaza is very low for various reasons. Lack of medicine, lack of food. Of course, there was a military blockade on Gaza but well before October 7th. So already life there was terrible. You have here half the people being killed in Gaza children. And when you add women into that, the vast majority of those being killed are women and children. And the US, the UK, Canada, other Western powers have been defending the Israeli government. Here are more updated data points. So at least 24,000 have been killed in Gaza since October 7th. And over 61,000 injured. The injured number often gets forgotten here because we focus on the deaths for obvious reasons. But think about surviving a bombing, losing a limb. We're talking about tens of thousands of people in addition to the deaths.
You do what God called you to do. You show up. You put one foot in.
Here are the full comments from Netanyahu, and take a note of what else he says during this.
Cosmic Seeking, welcome.
For 30 years, I am very consistent, and I'm saying something very simple. This conflict is not on the lack of a state of Palestinian, but the existence of a state, the Jewish state. Every area that we evacuate, we receive terrible terror against that. It happened in South Lebanon, in Gaza, and also Judea and Samaria, which we did it. And therefore, I clarify that in any other arrangement, in the future, the state of Israel have to control on the entire area from the river to the sea. This is what happens when you have sovereignty. This truth I say to our American friends.
But you don't have sovereignty over those areas. Jesus Christ.
And I also stopped the attempt to impose on us a reality that will jeopardize us. A prime minister in Israel has to be able to say no, even to the best of friends. To say no when you need to, and to say yes when you can.
Outright reject.
Yeah, so another way of putting it is that Netanyahu is just wiping his ass with what the US is telling him. Netanyahu's wiping his ass with what the Biden administration is telling him. Okay? I mean, like with friends like that, you know. They need to be cut off. They need to be cut off from all funding, and military aid needs to be immediately cut off from Israel. Period. Full stop. Anything less is, which is just a bare minimum, is not acceptable. And the Biden administration is just too weak to do it. The Biden administration is just too weak to do it.
Rejecting the idea of a Palestinian state, despite all of the history, despite the fact that Israel was established on Palestinian land, rejecting the idea outright, publicly. And in addition to that, you also have him using the phrase, from the river to the sea. Where have we heard that before? Because I'm told this is very offensive. I'm told that when anyone else uses it,
right, it's a genocidal chant. So hey, if that's a genocidal chant, then what does that say about Netanyahu? One issue with the strong arm option is shutting out funding is that it probably won't really achieve anything. Israel has a substantial production industry for munitions and weapons. US aid only really amounts to a fraction of their actual spending. Well, they should take it away anyways. We shouldn't have anything to do with it. Nothing. Not at all. Not these extra circumventing Congress arms deals. Nothing. Nothing at all. Even small, large, nothing. Nothing. None of this. Nothing. If they have such a substantial production industry for munitions, then why do we need to give them emergency weapons sales to bypass? Why would we need to bypass Congress to sell them weapons? They could be, if that's the case, and if that is true, if that is true, then they don't need us. You know what? They don't need us. It's becoming increasingly difficult to imagine any sort of resolution the more we're seeing Iranian involvement, because it plays precisely into the argument put forth by Israel. I mean, we should, the Simon Locker is correct. We should just remove all aid militarily, and that means removing anything that might become a deterrence. If they're so capable, and you know what, they don't want to listen, they feel like they can just go off and do their own thing, fine. Then they don't need us. We'll see if Bibi changes. If not, Western world could pay for years of negative accord with either Palestinians and others. Well, we don't need to see if Netanyahu changes. He's clearly not going to. So the best course of action is to just cut ties. But the Biden administration is way too weak, and they're refusing to even. They're refusing to do just even that. Then what would happen in the U.S. decide that it's its own interest to just launch a nuclear weapon at Tehran, at Israel? Well, what? Not if Tehran, if Israel, I'm sorry. Then what would happen in the event, though, if U.S. decides that it's in own interest to just launch a nuclear weapon at Israel? I don't know, but I seriously doubt nukes will be involved. These are just hypotheticals. I mean, it's possible. I don't know. What are the chances of that? I don't know of any nukes being used by anybody. The point is that, personally, at this point, if Israel wants to wipe its ass with what we're trying to do, then we should cut ties. We're talking too much about the U.S. If Israel decides that it's abandoned, has no support from the U.S., then it can just fire nuclear warheads to resolve their concerns over independence. I'm pretty sure the entire world would be completely against Israel in that case. And why would it feel that way if it's the one committing all of these war crimes? It is not, it is no longer defending itself. It's just straight up flattening fucking Gaza. If Israel wants to choose its own fate, then that lies on the responsibility and shoulders of Netanyahu alone. It would certainly look bad and the world would oppose their actions, but I don't know if they do anything about it. I don't know, but these are hypotheticals. Remember, Israel isn't even supposed to have nukes, right? In any case, we should we wouldn't need to be involved at this point in time. Israel seems to be fine by itself. If it wants to wipe its ass with what we say, then fuck them. Fuck the Israeli government. Nukes would almost be World War III. I don't know. These are all hypotheticals. I don't know what the what the chances are. Even if it got to that point, I don't know if Israel would even do that. I don't know. I don't know what the chances are, because the ramifications is pretty bad. Like, if Israel launches a nuke in this hypothetical scenario to in a last-ditch effort to maintain their independence or whatever, then that's it. It's over. They're done. The GOP would be used to threaten the Western world in 2024 and 2025. I don't know. Israel would cease to exist, and that would be on them. That would be on the Netanyahu government for making these decisions.
Wow. It must mean they want to eliminate Israel completely. They want to eliminate all the citizens. Here's Owen Jones with a succinct reaction to this. Are you a citizen chanting from the river to the sea, in which you mean equal rights for Jews and Palestinians? Will wreck your career. Are you an Israeli leader saying from the river to the sea, meaning occupation and apartheid? Will give you arms to commit mass murder. This is literally what has been going on. You had, the obvious, the big example from a few years ago was Mark Lamont Hill from CNN losing his job for saying from the river to the sea when giving a speech on Palestinians. CNN calling it controversial remarks in Israel to discuss. And I have a larger breakdown on the actual comments from the river to the sea in a different video and the historical context around that.
It's about finding an avenue to make peace and deal to make a peace deal appealing to Israel, because right now they don't see any reason to concede ground, nor do they see any reason to bow down to those who are calling for their destruction. And it feels like lashing out at Iran and Houthis is only making their resolve stronger. Personally, it's about finding an avenue for Israel to stop being horrific at this point. That's it. Because what are they talking about? What is the Israeli government talking about? They're the one. It's in their court. It's in their court. Hopefully some sort of resolution, because finding another possible 9/11 would be terrible. Yeah, I don't know about that. Mark Lamont is actually a good writer. The ball is on the Israeli government's court, okay? It is, and they're seeing the bigger victory is destroy Hamas and the Palestinian resistance as more immediately appealing than doing PR to the world. But they're not, though. Okay? They're not destroying Hamas and the Palestinian resistance. They're just literally flattening the whole place. They're just flat. They even admit this. They even admitted that the whole point was pain and destruction by using unguided bombs. They were literally bragging about this not too long ago. By their own conservative admission, the best light that this could that they have given us is that their 60% were civilian casualties, and that's by their figures. Obviously it's obviously way more, but even by their most conservative estimate, they're not trying to destroy Hamas and the Palestinian resistance. They're just flattening the place with our support. So basically, the point is simple. Regardless, we just need to cut ties with them. Fuck them. If they want to wipe their ass with what we've been trying to do behind the scenes, then fuck them. They don't need us. It's that simple. The Israeli government feels like they can just snob their biggest ally and say even to the best of friends, no, our objective is occupation. Then nah, they don't need us. We're good. We're good. Why don't we put whatever funding we have allocated into better use, like infrastructure, healthcare, literally anything else.
And of course, it can mean different things depending on how you're using it. But its established use initially was about equal rights for Jewish people and Palestinians in a single state solution. That is the initial use of it. But the way it's been twisted is claiming that those fighting for Palestinian rights are claiming to eliminate Israel, when in reality you have Israeli leaders outright saying they want to eliminate Gaza. And then, of course, you have the U.S. House censuring Rashida Tlaib for those same comments, again, when she's discussing equal rights, and the White House rejecting the phrase outright. I wonder what their thoughts are on Netanyahu using it in the context of complete annihilation of Gaza.
Right. This is the classic far right shit of fucking every accusation is just a fucking confession, isn't it? The far right doesn't change, no matter where it is. The far right doesn't change no matter what it is. Hey, Conscious Canuck. Hey, Firefly. Of course they're leveling it all. They have a canal to build with and miles of coastline to develop for luxury condos and resorts. True. I come to spread those joy feelings. Well, I appreciate that because certainly it is needed around here. Not around here, around these times, I should say.
Hi.
But here's what the U.S. has been trying to do from the AP here. The U.S. has called on Israel to scale back the offensive that aims to eliminate Gaza's Hamas rulers, and American officials have said the establishment of a Palestinian state should be part of the day after. So the U.S. has stated publicly this is what they want. They want there to be a Palestinian state.
And did I break the stream? No. Still seeing ads for gun violence from Sandy Hook. Yep. I get like the weirdest ads. Mostly probably because, refreshed. How, F the country we still have to deal with this? Yeah, we shouldn't. Like, this, like, if you're a friend, if you're giving your friend, like, everything, and they decide to, like, snub you, like, are you obligated to continue to helping that person? That doesn't sound like a friend. That doesn't sound like an ally. Ally with the 13 biddies, thank you. I guess BB made it clear. He's always made it clear. He's always, the entire, as I was just informed by chat, the entire basis or part of the core belief of this party that Netanyahu is part of has always thought this way. And knowing this, the Biden administration is refusing to just cut ties. Cowards. What a weak and cowardly administration. BB's condemned by his own words. And yet the cowardly Biden administration still supports this. And it's not like this happened yesterday and we're just finding this out.
And there, of course, have been frustrations around that discussion with Netanyahu.
Frustrations.
Despite Secretary of State Antony Blinken meeting recently with Netanyahu and others in the Israeli government. They are so frustrated with Netanyahu and the Israeli government that they once again bypassed Congress to send them emergency weapons to go on to then further bomb more civilians in Gaza. But Blinken's attempt here in his recent meeting, his major achievement, as NBC News writes, on the trip was getting a commitment from Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and 4 other Arab leaders to help rebuild Gaza after the war. Multiple senior administration officials said the Arab leaders also agreed to support a new reformed Palestinian government to secure Gaza. The Saudi Crown Prince offered to normalize relations with Israel as part of a Gaza reconstruction agreement, a diplomatic development Netanyahu's long sought, but only if the Israeli leader agrees to provide Palestinians with a pathway to statehood. Look at who is, in this case, who is the extremist? Because, and this is not defending, in no way defending the Saudi government, which are extreme in their own ways. But you have here the Saudis agreeing, yes, we will normalize relations with Israel as long as Palestinians have a state. Just some basic human rights.
Not sure it's entirely cowardice, only exercise their chosen priorities. Well, I mean, cowardice in terms of like doing the right thing. There's an acknowledgement that this conflict will eventually have to wind down, but right now this is an Israel-wide thing, not just a Netanyahu thing. For example, some surveys suggest his support is low as the teens, but support for the conflict is still plus 50%. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to my line of thinking in terms of what the U.S. should do. I mean, this is absurd. We were told that they were supposed to be targeting the terrorists. And by the way, this is as charitable as it gets, because it's from our own intelligence assessment. So no, in my opinion, it doesn't matter. That may be the case in Israel. I don't know. I don't know how people feel there in terms of like their support for leveling Gaza to the ground. But we should not have any part of it. How the hell have things got so bad where MBS is now the good guy? No, he's not. He's just correct in this point of view. Or another way of putting it, he's being more diplomatic than the Israeli government. So that's where we're at. We're at the point where MBS, the guy who ordered the killing of a journalist, a Washington Post journalist, that guy is being more diplomatic in this scenario than the Israeli government.
Rights, so some basic, advocacy over their own land. Just allow them to have their land. That's all that's being asked here. And who's the one rejecting this? Netanyahu, the far, far right.
And again, this isn't new because he's bragged about this. So I ask again, why does the U.S. need to be involved at this time? I mean, like, again, the same, I circle back to the same saying. With friends like these, with allies like these,
Wing extremist Israeli government are the ones rejecting this basic human right. The Biden administration is trying to lay the groundwork with other Israeli and civil society leaders in...
What's more to explain that Israelis are very different from what they were 34 years ago, and these plans were originally drafted, the same plans that are often used as guides of what the future should be. I don't think they're reliable models now because they're not supported in the same way. I don't know. The point is, clearly with allies like these, who needs enemies? We don't need to be involved anymore. Fuck this Israeli government. We don't need to be involved. We just don't. Since they're gonna play like this, then we need to not be involved in this. It doesn't matter if our revenue or our support is small or large. Take it all away. We want no part of this. We should have no part in this. If Netanyahu wants to lead his people into the ground, we have no part in this. We should have no part in this. I'm only speaking as the point of view of the United States.
Anticipation of an eventual post-Netanyahu government. In an attempt to work around Netanyahu, Blinken also met individually with members of his war cabinet and other Israeli leaders. So this has been, they've already been aware of Netanyahu's position here. Just it hasn't been as clear as it is in this speech from Netanyahu. But they've already been trying to work around him and essentially saying, well, okay, under Netanyahu, there's not going to be a Palestinian state. But if the Israeli people decide to get him out, and the Israeli citizens apparently are not a fan of Netanyahu, if he is voted out, then maybe they can get someone else in there. But there's already been multiple power grabs by Netanyahu to keep power in Israel.
Oh, that, by the way, that's a lot of what this is about. If he can keep this going, and he can justify his staying in power for as long as possible, then he's going to continue to do this. He's going to continue to stir shit as long as it keeps him in power. This absolutely benefits him. To put it simply, Israelis don't want to take the chance of folks bouncing over the border and going to rampage anymore, while Palestinians are fed up with settlers breaking laws and Israel suffocating them. A peace deal kind of has to guarantee both sides what they're looking for. Yes, but the problem is Israel is not, the Israeli government is not about it. He literally said he's not going to do that. And the answer obviously is not, well, I guess we just have to flatten the whole place, right? Because that can't be the answer. The only way there will be peace if someone points bigger guns at the Israeli military to make them stop. I mean, to be fair, all that needs to happen, and like, I think this holds true still today. I think that if the United States made a public statement that they're pulling everything out, I think that will make them stop. But yeah. But I don't think they're interested in it because Hamas, since the 7th, kept coming out saying we're going to do this over and over again. That's not an excuse to level the whole place. And if they're truly interested in defeating Hamas, if that's the problem, then why are they creating more Hamas? Then why are they Hamas's biggest advocate right now? Why is the Israeli government Hamas's biggest recruitment tool? It doesn't sound like they're interested in defeating Hamas if that was the goal. Including the 2 naval battlegroups, everything. Take it all away. All away. Watch how fast things change. Watch how fast a deal would probably be struck. A peace deal would be struck. I'm not saying it's an excuse to do anything. I'm saying this is why they won't concede. Both sides are effectively saying we're not giving in, and unsurprisingly, it doesn't stop. Yeah, but like one side is completely flattening the other into oblivion. Like this isn't even like remotely this isn't even beginning to be any type of like there's no it's not like 2 powers are going at it. It's just one side flattening the other. So, I circle back to my original statement. The U.S. should just threaten to back everything out. They should just be like, you know what? It sounds like you're having a problem accepting our help. If you are not going to play ball, tomorrow I will make a public announcement saying that we are pulling everything out, no more aid, no more weapons, no more anything, and we're going home. How do you like them apples? That's it. One phone call. Should the Biden administration decide that they're going to do the right thing, one phone call. If you don't stop, tomorrow I will make a public announcement saying that we're pulling everything out. No further aid, no further weapon sales. We're packing up and we're going home. Good luck. How badass would Biden look? He would win the election. The Israeli government has money. Would even the U.S. seek it doesn't have to seek an embargo. They just need to stop helping them. I don't want to support any of this. I don't want my tax dollars supporting any of this. Plot twist, Israel was a fake friend all along, using the US and another country backing them. And has another country backing them. I don't know. We're like the biggest one, aren't we? The US didn't move half the effing Navy nearby because Israel didn't need anything from us. True. Yep, pack it up and go home, everybody. See how they like them apples. Because I guarantee you that if Biden gives Netanyahu that ultimatum, saying you either figure this out, make a peace deal, stop this indiscriminate killing, and make it work, and there will be a two-state solution, and you will work to make this happen. You and the rest of the regional leaders that already agree and want to help out and have said that if it comes down to it, the regional powers are going to help even rebuild Gaza. They're willing to make this coalition. So you need to make this happen. If you don't, tomorrow I will get on public TV and say, you're not getting a single, no more aid, no more weapons, and we're packing up. That's it. That's all he needs to say to Netanyahu. I guarantee you, the Israeli government will be singing a different tune if Biden makes that phone call. I guarantee you, the Israeli government would make a completely would be singing a completely different tune. The Republican House would impeach Biden over this. But then what happens? Then Netanyahu is forced to consider actually working with regional powers and making this work. And if he doesn't want to play ball, oh well, then we call the bluff and pull out. Hey, Surfer McGritty, F that Nazi trash to John Fetterman. He's what a freaking clown Fetterman has turned out to be, huh? Not like especially after hearing Biden's response about the Yemen strikes that went viral, like absolute psycho. Yesterday, we went over the example of obviously, this was different. The 80s are not the same as now, but literally President Reagan called up the Israeli leader and said, if you don't stop this shit, we're done. And immediately the day after, the Israeli government stopped that shit. Is there any reasonable guarantee the war conflict of any kind, even if the Biden administration team is debating about this? They're not debating about any of this. They've been very clear. And that's what ifs. These are hypotheticals. I'm talking about like what we can do now as the American government. So what we can do as the American government is to threaten to pull out and stop giving them aid, weapons, whatever, anything. If the House approves, the money, the executive branch has to spend it. I'm saying like they threaten to stop any further aid. And, well, Democrats supposedly control the Senate, right? Use that as a stopgap. The Biden administration has been going around Congress providing weapons without their approval. Yep. He was asked if the strikes are doing anything. He says no, and then he says he's going to keep doing them. That's ridiculous. Anyone can contact the White House or Congress about this conflict and see if that changes minds. Well, yeah, you're right. You're right. Protesting, continuing to put public pressure does help. They stopped the flare, but it didn't actually solve anything. That's my point. We're still here 40 years after Reagan, and in this situation, how do we build actual peace? How do you remove the aggressors from the picture from each side? Well, the American government decided, or the American government proposed, along with regional powers, to structure a peace deal, where there could be a Palestinian state, and the Palestinians could self-govern and have their own state, and the regional powers, including Saudi Arabia, are willing to pitch in and help. Pieces of both sides issue has to be, otherwise it doesn't work. This is the proposal. I mean, it can't get any better than that. It's Israel it's the Israeli government that's refusing to negotiate. It's the Israeli government that doesn't want to negotiate. They're literally, Netanyahu and his party specifically are proud that is the case. Netanyahu's government is proud that is the case.
At this.
So here's the deal. To me, it's very simple. If our ally doesn't want to play ball, then we should have no business with them. That's simple.
At this point, as of recording this, it is hard to imagine that anyone else in Netanyahu's position would do anything different, or would even consider discussing a Palestinian state. So while Blinken is trying to work around Netanyahu, it doesn't mean that's actually going to be successful. And again, I think this all hinges on the fact that the U.S. has shown complete unwavering support to the right-wing Israeli government. If there were any attempts at all to say no, to, not send weapons, for one, to Israel, if there were any attempts at all to reject any of the asks from the Israeli government.
Yeah, and just make the phone call, man. Just make the phone call. Jesus Christ. Spoiler alert, Democrats and Republicans are both pro-genocide. Play a random made riff. Okay, we'll see if we can do that. It's nearly weekend. Perhaps we can indulge in some music. Yes. I totally acknowledge that Israel needs to be pulled back. There needs to be an end to this. Our disagreement is more on how rather than what. I feel like Israel as a country, not Netanyahu, needs kind of coaxed into a new phase. Yeah, here's the new coax. You're not getting shit until you stop this. How about that? How about that as a coaxing mechanism? If you're incapable of stopping this indiscriminate massacre, then I don't know. Maybe you just don't need us. How about them apples? I would be willing to bet money that if Biden made that phone call, which is the how, if Biden, with the how, Biden makes a phone call and basically threatens to pull out completely, I'm pretty sure the Israeli government will sing a different tune. I would almost be willing to put, money that would be the case. And even if they are unwilling to budge at that threat, then call the bluff, and we shouldn't have anything to do with it anyways.
Then you would actually have some leverage. There may be some actual pressure on the Israeli government to feel they have to work with the U.S. to get what they want. But there has been no attempts here at all to try and rein in the Israeli government. And the result is a Netanyahu who feels so empowered that he's willing to go out there and discuss openly how he wants to completely destroy Gaza and control all the land. This is just amazing. I had to find a way to fit this in. This is, as many are quote tweeting this, saying, this is U.S. foreign policy in a nutshell.
Are the airstrikes in Yemen working?
Well, when you say working, are they stopping the Houthis? No.
Your tax dollars at work, folks. Yeah. The same way that, like, indiscriminate bombings are not conducive to stopping terrorism. Yeah. Israel as a country needs to not exist in the way it does, the same way South Africa needed to not exist in the way it did. Got it. Biden, yeah, I understand. Biden said earlier on that he couldn't do anything, then that is absurd. It's not really both sizing. It's no, solutions require both parties, and concessions must eventually will be made to allow some kind of peace to emerge. Yeah, the concession is stop destroying the entirety of Gaza. That's the concession. Because if you do, if it is true that Israel is trying to stop terrorism, if it is true that the goal of the Israeli government is to stop Hamas or stop terrorism, where's the sign of success? Follow-up question: why are they acting as their biggest recruitment campaign? And why is and why are they just allowed? Why is the American government just allowing what presumably was supposed to be a genocidal statement to be uttered by Netanyahu, who clearly is genocidal? Not exaggerating. Like that's who he is. He's literally said it. He's proud of it. Him and his party have been very vocal about this. Imagine if the US bombed the West Coast because people there were not like the people in the East Coast. The answer can't be, well, we just gotta flatten the entire place, right? Like, I totally get why Israel is not fond of Hamas. I agree that they do not need to be gone in a kind of philosophical sense, not a physical one, but I think there's a way to both acknowledge that and also move them into a ceasefire, as long as we make clear that we agree with them on that principle. Yeah, the principle is, the only thing that we need to be moving towards is peace, and that means stopping Israel from flattening the whole place. Because this is not about, in my opinion, this has gone way past Hamas, okay?
Are they going to continue? Yes.
How amazing.
Oh my god. Yeah, have your airstrikes done what they supposedly were going to do? Nah. Are you going to continue them? Yeah. I'm sorry, what?
Amazing is that? This is U.S. foreign policy in a nutshell. Is it working? No. Will we keep doing it? Yes.
This is wild. Things were looking positive when we had hostage releases and temporary cessations, but since then things have broken down badly in the Houthi stuff and Iran stuff, making it look even less likely to resume. I think that should be. I think these are. I think these are distractions. I think that regardless, the American government should. Again, this is just in a hypothetical rose-colored glasses world, the American government should be twisting the Israeli government's arm into stopping the ethnic cleansing. And by the way, the Israeli government isn't even interested in saving the hostages either. They literally shot a couple of them. I think a couple more have died in airstrikes because, precision targeting Hamas airstrikes have leveled so much of the place that they've killed hostages that way. They've shot hostages literally waving white flags of surrender. I mean, I don't even know if they even care about the hostages at this point or at all. So again, what's the goal here? What's the goal here?
Nothing really to add there. It's just incredible.
I think what makes the United States more hesitant to weaken their resolve over Israel, I think it makes them wary of trying to shift tact. Obviously, it's super callous a thing to say because they're thinking more geopolitics and humanitarianism, but that is what they do, and I can only deal with those cards. I don't know. I think it's cowardice to not do the right thing. I think it's disgusting that they can't seem to find the gumption to tell the Israeli government what they need to be told. I think it's embarrassing that they call themselves our allies while spitting in our face. And I think it shows just how weak the Biden administration is. It just shows how weak the American government is then, if that's the case. Like, I'm sorry, who runs the show here? Like, does the president, is the president not the president of the United States? So, where's the gumption? Just do the right thing. Just do the right thing. Make the phone call.
And to give you another idea of just the list of war crimes, I haven't been able to keep track. It's too much for me to really follow what is going on in Gaza. But this is one small example of what the Israeli government have been doing every single day in Gaza. They recently blew up a university near Gaza City. There was no reason to do that, but they did it. Because
what, Hamas is hiding in the university. It's so obvious that Israel has the right to defend themselves, but what are they doing? This is not defending yourself. What are you talking about? This has been going on for months now. Israel is not defending itself. War crimes are not self-defense. Even if Hamas is hiding there, they can't blow up hospitals or universities. Yeah, and they do it anyways. So no, this is not about Hamas. No, this is not about rescuing the hostages or whatever nonsense the Netanyahu government is trying to sell, only to keep in power. Okay? The American government is spineless. The American government is spineless and cowards. The Biden administration are cowards and spineless.
Again, this is not about getting Hamas. This is about completely destroying Gaza. This is ethnic cleansing.
American officials said Thursday they would not allow Netanyahu's apparent rejection of an eventual Palestinian state to stop them from pressing the matter with their Israeli counterpart. A senior administration noted that Netanyahu's comments that the prime minister had reversed himself on hardening positions before. That a statement with Thursday was not necessarily the final word. If we took such statement as whatever, I don't care. The only thing that would suffice is Biden making the phone call to Netanyahu and telling him what needs to be done. Okay. Biden needs to do the right thing, call Netanyahu, and tell him what needs to be what he needs to tell him. Hey, you need to stop this shit now. Okay? We have a potential peace deal that we, the regional powers, and you can all figure this out, and you're the one that is blocking this. If you don't want to play ball, tomorrow I make a public announcement. Everything's done. No further aid, no further weapons, and we're pulling out. You know, Hamas is actually using people as a human shield. I don't listen. So if that's so using human shields, so we should just blow everything up. So why are you? If you're saying it's not an excuse, then why are you even making the statement? Doesn't make any sense. If you're saying it's not an excuse to blow up everything up, then why are you even making the first statement? Just to show how evil Hamas is? Hey, listen, how many people have the Israeli government killed at this point? Do you know? It's about 24K. Okay? I doubt anybody really knows. No, we do know. We do have numbers. It's definitely more than 24K. So why make the stupid statement of saying, "Oh, shields, human shields"? So like again, so in your world, basically the solution to any crime, the solution to like a hostage situation or an active shooter situation is just to kill people there. Is just to kill people there. It's okay because, you know, whatever. I wonder what the alternate solution is. Not flattening Gaza? Are you okay? Like, because nobody in their right mind would ever say, oh, the police should just shoot civilians as long as they get the criminals. No, right? That sounds pretty asinine. Right? So then why are you bringing it up? This makes no sense. No one in their right mind would be like, yeah, you know what? We should just kill, we should just kill the civilians as long as you got the criminal. As long as you got the criminal, as long as you stop the active shooter, you know, hey, listen, you killed about 30 people, but hey, you got the guy. No, that's not an acceptable solution, right? So then why the fuck are you bringing it up? Hey, Ground Level News. Hey, Doc. I know it sounds weird, but Israel's supposed to have the best or second best Secret Service. Yeah, well, they have a really good intelligence apparatus, which goes to show Netanyahu doesn't give a flying F because he knew about October 7th and did nothing. Because this is all about him and him keeping power. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. It's happening, so I brought it up. Like it or not, Israel is doing this even though it's wrong. Okay, so even though this is all wrong, even though this is wrong, so the U.S. should participate? I don't understand. I keep wandering in here to hot takes. Well, it happens in this chat. U.S. has 2 carrier groups. Remove them then. Threaten, call Netanyahu. Biden needs to call Netanyahu and say, you know what? If you don't cut this shit out, we'll take them out tomorrow. We'll pack our shit and go home. If you don't cut this out, no more aid, no more weapons, and we're packing up and going home. How about them apples? How do you like them apples?
This is literal ethnic cleansing, trying to eliminate an entirety of people. That's what they are doing here. And I'm not sure I could show the video on YouTube, but, you know, there, that's the result. It's just disgusting what this administration, what the Biden administration, along with, let's be clear as well, the UK and Canada, what they have all been not even excusing, but enabling.
Well, they're empty like all our missiles on a few ships defending against terrorist missiles, though. Now Iran is attacking Pakistan and Houthis are attacking. This is all because of Israel, though.
The Israeli government to do and to continue doing is absolutely grotesque.
Yep.
Are you still interested?
Do you want to talk about this Atlantic piece saying that Israel is not settler colonial? The decolonization narrative is dangerous and false. It does not accurately describe either the foundation of Israel or the tragedy of the Palestinians.
Yeah, 24K dead Hamas fighters. Yeah, true. Wait, hold on. We're getting reports that, most of them are like women and children, grandparents. Or elder people, I should say. Interesting. By the way, the 24K number is just civilians. They're just civilian numbers. How do we get reliable numbers? We cross-reference what we know on the ground with other organizations who have reported very similar numbers. Like, why are you asking these questions when you can just simply, like, figure this out? It just seems kind of weird to question, like, 24K dead. Like, how do we get reliable numbers? Would you question the Israeli numbers?
It's by Simon Sebag Montefiore.
It's just the most recycled. It's just the recycled official Israeli propaganda. But just read, if you don't mind, for your audience. Just read the first sentence. Okay. The very first sentence.
Peace in the Israel-Palestine conflict had already been difficult to achieve before Hamas's barbarous October 7th attack and Israel's military response. Now it seems almost impossible, but its essence is clearer than ever. Ultimately, a negotiation to establish a safe Israel beside a safe Palestinian state.
Okay.
This seems absurdly contrarian. I just don't trust anything. Whatever, dude. That's just so that's just so, like, unnecessary. It's just a lot of people out there using the but Hamas argument at this point. Yeah, like, at this point, that it's just absurd, because, like, it is abundantly clear at this point, if it hasn't been already, that this isn't about Hamas. Okay?
So let's look at that first sentence. Hamas's attack is barbarous. Israel's response is just a military response. The fact that Israel is engaged in broad daylight, in real time, in a genocidal war against the population of Gaza, that's just this anodyne military response. Now, I'd like to just comment on this. First of all, the history vanishes. October 7th, contrary to conventional belief, October 7th wasn't the beginning. October 7th was the climactic act in a long history of the people of Gaza being immured in a concentration camp. It would be as if to say that Nat Turner's rebellion in 1831, that was the beginning. Everything starts at Nat Turner's rebellion, that we just efface the whole history, those 20 years that the people of Gaza, half of whom are children, 70% of whom are refugees, the 20 years that they've been confined in a concentration camp where nobody can go in, nobody can leave, with the rarest of exceptions, where more than approximately half the population suffers from what's called severe, by humanitarian organizations, it's called severe food insecurity, where half the population is unemployed, and among the youth, 60% of the people are unemployed. That whole history vanishes, and I haven't even mentioned the periodic high-tech military assaults on Gaza.
Do you think that Netanyahu pulled the IDF security from the border so that they could let October 7th? I don't know. I know that he knew about it. That's about as much as I can say. I know that his intelligence knew that something was going to happen, and they didn't act. That's what I do know. I don't know if they purposely pulled back security forces. I don't know. I don't know the timeline on that. I don't know if that happened at the behest of his orders because he knew. I don't know.
Which left in the thousands of people dead, hundreds of children killed, infrastructure leveled, homes leveled. Everything vanishes. It's just history begins on October 7th with a barbarous attack and just a anodyne military response. The military response now has left about 10,000 people dead, including 3,000 children. That's not barbarous. The military response, which has systematically and methodically leveled, flattened, pulverized the entire economic infrastructure of Gaza and the residential life of the people of Gaza. I think I read, but the statistics, by the time even this airs, they're going to be outdated. But
I can do 1.25.
Half of the people's homes in Gaza have been pulverized, reduced to smithereens, smashed to smithereens. That's just a military response. That's not barbarous. Now, let me just give you one example, which many people will find appalling, but to me, it just speaks to the reality of what's happened in that corner, that parcel of land. So let's just take one example. As you know, Israel periodically launches these high-tech massacres by remote control on Gaza. So if you take Operation Cast Lead, which lasted from December 26, 2008 to January 17th, 2009, what Amnesty International called the 22 days of death and destruction. If you just take that example, Israel killed about 1,300 Gazans, including 350 children. Now, what does Israel describe that as? They call it mowing the lawn. That's the phrase that they coined, mowing the lawn. Now, I don't know yet how many children were reportedly killed on October 7th, but the total number, 1,300, is roughly what happened in Operation Cast Lead. If we go to Operation Protective Edge...
That's ridiculous. Should that be how we refer to October 7th? Nah. Ironically, I learned about choosing reliable sources at my conservative Baptist university. Right, but I imagine what they think is reliable sources is their sources. Or were they literally talking about, like, objectively evaluating sources, in which case, damn, nice.
Which began July 8th and 2014 and lasted until August 26th, 2014, 51 days. About 2,200 people in Gaza were killed, of whom 550 were children. So that's about a little less than double the total number, a little less than double the total number of those killed on October 7th. That was another mowing the lawn. Yes, Israel mowed the lawn a second time. Okay? So, imagine the reaction if Hamas said on October 7th, we were just mowing the lawn. Could you imagine the reaction? Can you even conceive the reaction? If very matter-of-factly, they just said, we were mowing the lawn. What the Hamas did is a barbarous act. But what Israel routinely inflicts on Gaza is mowing the lawn. And everybody just smiles at that satanic phrase, mowing the lawn, of which 1 million of the 2,200,000 blades of grass on that lawn, about 1,100,000 are children.
Yeah, cool. And we support this. We support this. Cool. Very nice. Very good stuff. Very normal. Very hinged. Ironically, I learned about choosing reliable. Oh, yeah. It's, well, the professor's a bit more liberal in my department. Nice.
This week, Kentucky Republican Nick Wilson, this guy, sponsored House Bill 269.
Yeah. This is a thing that happened, by the way. I made a comment on this on Twitter. Because I saw this a couple days ago. And now I can't find it. Alright, whatever.
Which would, wait for it, legalize incestuous relationships between first cousins. Yeah. Newsweek explains a Kentucky Republican has introduced the legislation.
Yeah, so talk about the party of family values, huh? You start to ask questions because, they claim to be the party of family values, whatever that means. But when it comes to actually supporting families, they don't really give a shit. They don't give support to children by school lunches. They don't give support to parents. They don't give support to working families. So I can only deduce that what they mean by family values is this.
that would amend the state's law so a person who had sex with their first cousin would no longer be criminally liable for incest. Kentucky law states that a person is guilty of incest if they engage in sexual relations with a person they know to be, quote, his or her parent, child, grandparent, grandchild, great-grandparent, great-grandchild, uncle, aunt, nephew, niece, brother, sister, first cousin, ancestor, or descendant. The amendment introduced by Wilson, if passed, would remove first cousin from this list. Now, Kentucky journalist.
Yeah, so, you have less than 1 year, Trump 2024. What the heck is he gonna do? What the heck are you gonna do? Bunch of clowns. Get out of here. You have less than 1 year left. Okay.
Tessa Duvall shared a screenshot of the text in question, and if you look at line 13 here, you can...
So this guy wants to be known as the kissing cousins dude? I guess so. I mean, this is a Republican we're talking about, so. Coming in here thinking like we like Biden or some shit. Not only that, like, that's an implicit threat. That's an implicit threat. I read it as a threat. Trump is done, man? I don't think so. Like, coming from like an electoral standpoint, I don't think he's done. And GOP family values a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to stop Trump. He's going to win. I don't know. Personally, I maintain that this is going to be a close election. Man, but it's uncomfortable. It's getting harder and harder to say that I have less confidence, because like my original thought was, okay, this is going to be a close election, but Biden's going to win it. I had more confidence in that months ago. I guess towards the middle of last year, I had more confidence than I do now. But if he wins, that will be the end of Ukraine, and the Middle East will become a fireball. But America might be okay. Nah, I don't think America will be okay. Are you serious? I just don't know. I just don't know. It's a coin toss at this point. America will definitely not be okay.
You can see, yep, he just crossed off first cousin from the list, which would legalize sexual intercourse between first cousins in the state of Kentucky. Now, this absolutely blew up online with everyone laughing at him, and rightfully so, by the way. But what made this even more viral is the fact that we're not just talking about any Republican here. Nick Wilson is actually the winner of the 37th season of Survivor, called David versus Goliath. And
no way. Really? This dude was on Survivor? I mean, like, listen, I don't watch like all these reality shows, but C-SPAN, 37 seasons. The 37th season winner. C-SPAN really warped my brain this morning about the election. So many Dems calling in basically they aren't going to vote. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. Because as we've been talking about this, the issue is that because of Biden's actions and, well, let's be frank, also inactions, he's essentially depressing his own vote. He's essentially depressing his own vote.
he then came back for another season, season 41, titled Survivor Winners at War. So it's not just the political community that was laughing at him. It's also the Survivor community, which is actually pretty large, that was laughing at him as well. Everyone teamed up to dunk on Nick Wilson for presumably wanting to fuck his cousin. Although, Who knows? He just wrote the bill, right? Now, other survivors even made TikTok reacting to his bill. Case in point.
Oh my God, I've got some wild news. I'm Eliza Orlins, career public defender in Manhattan for the last 14 years, but also, as some of you may know, I was a contestant on Survivor Vanuatu and Survivor Micronesia Fans versus Favorites. This news relates to David vs. Goliath winner of Survivor, Nick Wilson, who then leveraged the fame that he obtained from winning Survivor to run for Kentucky State Legislature and get elected. Nick Wilson is not only supporting, but has introduced a bill that would reclassify incest in the state of Kentucky to not include your own.
He just wants freedom. Yeah, hey, anybody want to guess what his defense is going to be on this? Anybody want to take a guess at his defense?
Own first cousin. Kentucky, like so many other places, is facing a lot of issues, and this is Nick's top legislative priority. He is sponsoring this bill, and in fact, he has introduced this bill.
Now, we're just seeing a small snapshot of the reaction because it would take too long if I tried to give you the totality of the reaction to this, because it's about what you'd expect, right? So, long story short, they're roasting the shit out of him, but he did respond to the backlash, and he claims that it's not what it looks like. He's saying it was an accident. He didn't mean to accidentally legalize incest.
Listen, my bad, okay? I didn't realize what was in the bill. Bro, you put it for a vote. You sponsored this bill. Whoopsies.
Saying that sentence out loud, just like... Goddamn.
Don't scroll away. It's Senator Warnock. Listen, in 2022, over 400.
Anyways, on his official Facebook page, he read,
Yeah. An accident? Really? No. No. I don't think so. I don't think it was an accident. I think he's trying to... I think he's trying to CYA. I didn't see how come. Is that what his cousin said? It's not like DMs. Yeah, if you're DMing people, don't. That's a fast way to get banned. I was just hoping no one would notice. Exactly. I filed the HB 269 yesterday. The purpose of the bill is to add sexual contact to incest status to add sexual contact to the incest statute. Currently, incest only applies in the case of intercourse, so sexual touching, groping, and by uncles, stepdads, or anyone with a familial relationship is not included in incest. My bill makes it that kind of sexual contact a Class D felony unless the victim is under age of 12. Then it increases the penalty to a Class C felony. During the drafting process, there was an inadvertent change which struck first cousin from the list of relationships included under the incest statute, and I failed to add it back in during today's... Yeah, you know, whatever you want to tell yourself. Whatever you want to tell yourself. I gotta stick with the second cousins like Giuliani.
I filed HB 269 yesterday. The purpose of the bill is to add sexual contact to the incest statute. Currently, incest only applies in cases of intercourse, so sexual touching/groping by uncles, stepdads, or anyone with a familial relationship is not included in incest. My bill makes that kind of sexual contact a Class D felony unless the victim is under the age of 12. Then it increases the penalty to a Class C felony. During the drafting process, there was an inadvertent change which struck first cousins from the list of relationships included under the incest statute, and I failed to add it back in. During today's session, I will withdraw HB 269 and refile a bill with the first cousin language intact. The fact that I was able to file a bill, catch the mistake, withdraw the bill, and refile within a 24-hour period shows that we have a good system.
Yeah, no,
whatever
dude,
you say.
Dude, you just got caught, okay? That's it.
This is a bill to combat a problem of familial and cyclical abuse that transcends generations of Kentuckians. I understand.
Which, what? Are we are we gonna talk about that? Oof. This is a bill to combat a problem of familial and cyclical abuse that transcends generations of Kentuckians. Whew. Let's just continue.
Understand that I made a mistake, but I sincerely hope my mistake doesn't hurt the chances of the corrected version of the bill. It is a good bill, and I hope it will get a second chance. Now, that is a hell of a fuck up to make. But regardless if you think it's an honest mistake or not, nobody in his district seemingly believes him. There weren't more than 20 replies to this post, but not a single one of them thought that he was telling the truth. And this is just kind of a small snapshot of some of the responses, but I mean, they were done.
Well, no doubt. If it helps people who are being victimized, yeah. But like, what? How does that pan out? Like, I'm more I'm more shocked that it's that big of a problem that they have to make a law saying, hey, you can't do like the incest thing.
On him. You see memes about how his cousin might be reacting, and a twist on the "Don't Tread on Me" flag that says "Don't DNA test me." Now, somebody actually responded to a different post about a different topic, and they shared an image of Michael Cera's character from Arrested Development, which says Representative Nick Wilson on his way to make it legal to bang his cousins. Now, for those who've never seen the show, Michael Cera's character has a crush on his cousin, so there's the context. Now, funny enough, he actually replied to this one saying, "Please see my recent post. I understand the stereotype and that I may be the butt of some jokes. I can take it, but please be mindful of the people I am trying to protect." Now, when it comes to Eliza Orlins, the fellow Survivor alum that made the TikTok, she also seemingly does not believe him, because 2 hours after he made that post, she reposted the text of the law with first cousin conspicuously striked out and just said, "K." So nobody's really buying it. Now, if I were to just look at the part that Eliza had shared, I'd probably agree with her that he's probably lying. But if you zoom out and you look at lines 4 and 5, we'll put both tweets on the screen so you can see what I mean. His explanation does check out, at least in part. He is expanding the definition of incest to include sexual contact, and that is important. It's a loophole that may allow sexual predators to escape accountability, so it is important that he's doing that, and he does have evidence that this is indeed what he wanted to do. And I'll admit that him striking first cousin in the first place is extremely bizarre. It's a weird mistake to make in the first place, and to not unstrike it is also very strange. But if he actually introduces an edited version, then the legislation would do what he says it would do. It would increase penalties for incestuous predators, and that's a good thing. So I do actually believe that this was an honest mistake, and I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, assuming the error is corrected and the bill is reintroduced by the time you see this video. We'll see what happens. But having said that, though, we absolutely should not let him off the hook entirely. And I say this because even if this little shitstorm that he stirred up inadvertently, seemingly, if we're being extra charitable here, never happened, this is still a bad person. Nick Wilson is still a Republican who is predictably using his power in harmful ways. People magazine reports on the evening of March 16th, this is 2023, both chambers of Kentucky's Republican majority legislature passed SB 150, a bill that begins with the words, "An act relating to children." Initially, the bill allowed teachers to use pronouns aligned with their students' biological sex, even if the student didn't identify with them. But as the debate went on, the bill was expanded to include additional provisions. Among other things, the bill includes a ban on gender-affirming care for trans youth. Doctors would be required to set a timeline to detransition children already taking puberty blockers or undergoing hormone therapy. The bill also prohibits schools from discussing sexual orientation or gender identity with students of any age.
Yeah, like this is like the disconnect that like you kind of have to have to be able to simultaneously say like, oh, I'm gonna try to put a bill to stop predators, but also like I want to make sure that kids don't get information that they need and just dehumanize trans kids.
and prohibits discussing human sexuality or sexually transmitted diseases before the 6th grade. The controversial bill easily passed the Senate.
Which, by the way, sexual education is incredibly important so that kids know and are able to articulate if they're being predated on. Like, they need to know and articulate, and for that they need the knowledge, of course, in an age appropriate manner, but they need to know these things.
Senate by a vote of 30-7, but one of the freshman lawmakers in particular has received considerable national attention and backlash for supporting it, Representative Nick Wilson. Before he took office, Wilson was a reality star on America's longest-running reality TV show. So Nick Wilson is no hero. He is a terrible person who supported a draconian crackdown on LGBTQ+ rights that literally forces teenagers to detransition, which puts them at greater risk of suicide. It's monstrous. Now, the harm that he did was actually explained to him by fellow Survivor castmates. For example, Christian Hubicki, who competed against Wilson, tweeted this: "Gender-affirming care is a lifesaver for transgender youth. So says the scientific evidence, as these major medical associations have recommended access to comprehensive gender-affirming care for transgender youth and issued policies and detailed guidelines for its use." He then links to the evidence in a follow-up tweet. Also, fellow Survivor winner Adam Klein, who competed against Wilson on Winners at War, subtweeted him saying, quote, "I am heartbroken and angry at the way trans people and especially trans children are being discriminated against all over this country. We are going so backwards. If you take away gender affirming care from a kid who needs it, you are on the so wrong side of history." On top of that, People magazine continues. Ricard Foyer, who competed on Survivor 41 and is part of a long-term queer couple, tells People that he first met Wilson at a charity event and they immediately hit it off. Quote, "I valued what I thought was an authentic relationship that we had built despite our differences," he says. But Foyer now sees the friendship differently. Quote, "It is hard to feel so understood, so seen by a person while I shared the transitioning process, healthcare woes, and the lack of humanity we experience just being queer and living in this world." Foyer continues, "And then, after all of that, for that person to turn around and vote for essentially criminalizing being trans, I am not a lesser human for who I am, nor is my husband. However, Nick Wilson is a lesser human for not treating the people of this country, and especially the amazing trans youth of Kentucky, as human beings and using their rights and freedoms as means of gaining popularity in his political ventures." Also, two-time Survivor contestant Eliza Orleans, who also made the TikTok about him, if you'll remember, who ran for district attorney in Manhattan in 2020, also expressed her outrage at the bill and Wilson. Quote, "Nick Wilson is a bigoted, cruel person who is using his Survivor platform to harm kids and families in Kentucky," she tells People. "It's disgusting to see him not just vote for, but in fact sponsor horrific transphobic legislation. It's hateful and discriminatory. As someone who ran for office myself, to watch Nick use his voice and his political position to actively hurt people is awful to witness." Exactly. And seeing this context.
Yep. I mean, nothing to add here other than this is, Republicans win power. This is the kind of stuff that happens.
It makes more sense as to why Eliza wasn't really willing to give him the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the incestuous kerfuffle. Now, to make matters worse, we now know that Nick is not ignorant because he became friends with Ricard, who is a member of the LGBTQ+ community. This is a gay man who is married to a trans man whose husband was literally pregnant while he was on Survivor. So to build up that friendship with somebody who's marginalized, who tells you about their community only to be thrown under the bus by your friend, I'm sorry, that just makes you a really shady person. And once again, Nick responded to the backlash, and he's insufferable. We'll just put it that way. He says, quote, "I am shocked by the collective outrage and the number of people who believe this topic is black and white, without room for debate. I didn't cast my vote out of hate, but out of compassion." Yeah, this is what literally every single bigot ever says.
Yeah. Gotta go. No problem. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it.
Oh, we don't hate the sinner. We hate the sin. Fuck off. Listen, in conclusion, I think that he may have plausible deniability when it comes to wanting to fuck his cousin, right? We'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. But make no mistake about it, this is a cruel, heartless person who was denounced by his own friends because a harmful bill that he supported is now law in the state of Kentucky.
Have a great
weekend. That is a damn
too.
shame. So maybe we shouldn't shame him and make fun of him for wanting to fuck his cousin, but he should absolutely be ridiculed for the harmful legislation that he supported that hurts trans youth.
True. I agree. I am running out of time, folks. So, really quickly, this is going to take like 5 seconds. Maine judge delays a Trump ballot decision until SCOTUS rules on the Colorado case. So, in other words, they are holding off on the whole kicking him off the ballot until the Supreme Court makes a decision on the Colorado case. They're going to start hearing arguments next month, in a couple weeks. So we shall see. We shall see how the Supreme Court rules, and that would determine, I guess, what Maine decides to do. Also, really quickly on this one, Texas has, kicking the can. Texas refuses to comply with Biden administration cease and desist letter about border access. So, in other words, the state of Texas has basically thought itself above federal law. At the end of the day, Texas has no ability and no jurisdiction, I guess, for lack of a better term. They don't have the authority to control immigration, and they certainly don't have the authority to stop the federal government from doing its job. And again, this administration is essentially letting Texas roll over them. It's pretty embarrassing. It's pretty embarrassing. Like, you have Trump literally threatening to send the National Guard into Democratic cities. And Texas is out here just giving the middle finger to the federal government, and they're just letting them. Sad. Missouri abortion rights groups launch effort to place constitutional amendment on the 2024 ballot. This is pretty good. A coalition of reproductive and civil rights groups have formally launched an effort today, to advance an amendment that would enshrine abortion rights in the Missouri Constitution. Pay attention, folks. This might be on the ballot if you're in Missouri. Definitely spread the word, because there's people trying to make this happen. So pay attention. Missourians for Constitutional Freedom began collecting signatures throughout the state after they selected one proposed constitutional amendment to attempt to place on the 2024 ballot from an original field of 11 possible options. The campaign makes Missouri the latest state where abortion rights groups have sought to place a constitutional amendment on the ballot after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. In the 19 months since that ruling, abortion rights advocates have won every race in which the issue appeared directly on the ballot. So, yeah, again, if you are in the state of Missouri, or you know someone that's on that's in the state of Missouri, please spread the word. The proposed amendment states that the government shall not deny or infringe upon a person's fundamental right to reproductive freedom, which is defined as all decisions related to reproductive health care, explicitly including birth control, abortion care, and miscarriage care, up until fetal viability, which miscarriage care is like a tangent of abortion care. The proposal would also deem any denial, it's not exclusive, but it is related to that. The proposal would also deem any denial, interference, delay, or restriction of such care invalid. After the point, the government would be able to restrict abortion except in cases when treating healthcare professionals have decided that abortion would protect the life of the or physical or mental health of the woman. Yeah, so definitely pay attention because this is going to be potentially on the ballot. And if so, definitely show up and definitely vote for these ballot measures that come down the pipeline. And this is the latest one. Cascading failures in police response to Uvalde school shooting. The DOJ. I mean, this is not new. I don't need a Department of Justice report to tell you that, but I guess it's official. Families of the 19 children and 2 teachers that were murdered in the elementary school shooting in Uvalde were failed, no kidding, by a haphazard response from the authorities who took no, like, cowards, to stop the 2022 mass killing. The U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland said on Thursday that the federal government's official report into the campus massacre was released. Their loved ones deserve better, said Garland at an emotional lunchtime press conference in the Texas town that was devastated on the... There's enough video of them standing around the hallway. Yep. Yep. Their loved ones deserved a government that valued their lives more than access to firearms. But, yeah, here we are. Lunchtime press conference in Texas that was devastated on 24th of May when a lone shooter rampaged to the classroom as heavily armed and well-equipped officers waited outside. The law enforcement response at Robb Elementary School and then the hours and days after was a failure that should not have happened. Had law enforcement agencies followed generally accepted practices in an active shooter situation and gone right after a shooter to stop him, lives would have been saved and people would have survived. The U.S. Justice Department report details cascading failures on the afternoon of the killings and beyond, including a haphazard initial response, delays in setting up a command post, and not immediately treating the attack as an active shooter situation. Authorities had demonstrated no urgency. Additionally, the report identified a vast array of problems, from failed communication and leadership to inadequate technology and training. What? You just said that they have protocols for this and they didn't act, so it's not the training. And leadership to inadequate technology. What inadequate technology are you talking about? This is embarrassing. That federal officials say contributed to the crisis lasting for longer than it should. Also on Thursday, Joe Biden issued a statement of condolence and expressed a desire that the lessons would be learned from the tragedy. Spoiler alert, they are not. There are multiple points of failure that hold lessons for the future. My team will work with the Justice Department of Education to implement policy change necessary to help communities more effectively, respond more effectively in the future. No community should ever have to go through what Uvalde community suffered. Congress must now pass common sense gun safety to ensure that mass shootings like this don't happen in the first place. We need universal background checks. We need a national red flag law. I agree with this. And we must ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. The families of Uvalde and the American communities deserve nothing less. Even for a mass shooting that has already been the subject of intense scrutiny and in-depth examination, the nearly 600-page report adds to the public understanding of how police failed to stop the... I don't even know, like, why we even needed to go through all of this. When there's video, as the Simulacra points out, there's literally enough video of them just standing there. They were more aggressive towards the parents. Anyways, a community of more than 15,000 continues to struggle with the trauma left by the killings and remains divided on questions of accountability for officers' actions and inactions. The shooting has already been picked over in legislative hearings, news reports, and damning reports by Texas lawmakers who faulted law enforcement at every level, with failing to prioritize innocent lives over their own safety. In the 20 months since the Justice Department announced its review, footage showing police waiting in a hallway outside the fourth grade classroom when the gunman opened fire has become the target of national ridicule. Garland was in Uvalde on Wednesday ahead of the release of the report, visiting murals of the victims that have been painted around the center of the town. Later that night, the Justice Department officials privately briefed family members at a community center before the findings were made public. If my wife was a teacher in that school, I would have gone in first. Yeah, and parents did try to go in, but they were stopped. I think only like I remember the story of one mother who managed to get away and save 2 kids. Berlinda Ariola, whose granddaughter was killed in the shooting, said after Wednesday night's meeting that accountability remained in the hands of local prosecutors who are separately conducting a criminal investigation into the police response. Quote, I have a lot of emotions right now. I don't have a lot of words to say. The review of the Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services were launched just days after the shooting, and local prosecutors are still evaluating a separate criminal investigation by the Texas Rangers. Several of the officers involved have lost their jobs. I don't know why they all haven't. The Uvalde County District Attorney, Christina Mitchell, said in a statement on Wednesday that she had not been given an advance copy of the Justice Department's report, but had been informed it does not address any potential criminal charges. How police response to mass shootings around the country has been scrutinized since the tragedy of Uvalde, about 85 miles southwest of San Antonio. In Texas, the Republican Governor Greg Abbott initially praised the courage of the officers' response and blame that was later cast heavily on local authorities in Uvalde, but an 80-page report from the panel of state of lawmakers and investigations by journalists laid bare how over the course of 70 minutes, some massive officers went in and out of school with weapons drawn, but did not go in the classroom where the shooting was taking place. The 376 officers at the scene, including state police, Uvalde police, school officers, and border patrol. The delayed response countered training that emphasized confronting a gunman, a standard established more than 2 decades ago after the mass shooting at Columbine, showed that waiting cost lives. As what happened during the shooting has become clear, the families of the victims have blasted police as cowards and demanded resignations. At least 5 police officers have lost their jobs, including 2 department public safety officers and Uvalde School Police Chief Arredondo, who was on the site commander during the attack. Yep. Embarrassing, but I don't know if we even needed a report to know all of this. Yeah. And still, by the way, no solutions in mind, no solutions on the access of firearms, nothing. Breaking news, 177 congressional Republicans, including Josh Hawley, just submitted an amicus brief to the Supreme Court in support of Donald being on the ballot. It must beat every GOP coward in 2024. Well, there's a lot of cowards going around. That's for sure. A lot of cowardice going around. All right, folks, we did it. We got through all the articles for today. Thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate it. If you guys enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button if you haven't done so. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you, Surfer McGritty. Thank you to the mods, Heat and Michael Hauser. Thank you for keeping the chat chill. I appreciate everybody stopping by. Thank you, Heat, for the biddies. Thank you, Alio, for the biddies. I appreciate the support. Again, hit the follow button. Spread the word far and wide. We're here Monday through Thursday. Also, head on over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, like the stream, do all that awesome stuff. Join us on the Discord. Oops. There we go. Okay. Not this Saturday coming, but the next one. There will be a movie night. So if you want to join, feel free to join the Discord. I appreciate everybody. Thank you guys for the support. You guys are what makes this channel grow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Have a good weekend, everybody. See ya. Play the riff next week. Yes. Forgot about that. I owe Chad a riff. All right, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.